Hey everyone, welcome to this full moon Sidereal astrology forecast for the full moon around Thursday, May 7th, 2020. All right, so time of status check for the lunar month. Developments from the past 2 weeks are coming ahead. And in this case, the full moon will be in Libra. If you're expecting me to say Scorpio just then, be sure to check out the link down below. We are using the visible sky called True Sidereal Astrology. All right, so Libra, the scales, all about finding balance in life. This can be in our personal lives of finding balance, seeing both sides of the scales, and how can we take that centered approach. Really good time of seeing how we can bring in things that will be a bit more fair in our relationships, more about justice, doing the right thing, and in our personal life, see how we can strive towards that centered approach. So with this, we have opposition up to Mercury in Aries, so it's great to balance this more fair side and balanced side with the more assertive side. Aries is about taking initiative, which is what this whole lunar cycle has been about, and still a good time to balance others' needs, our needs, what's fair, but also what's right for ourselves and our needs as well. So with this, we have a trine up to Neptune, so there could be some easy receptive energy with this, and Mars is starting to shift into Aquarius, so we could start to get into a bit of our progressive assertive side as well. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so here is the chart for this full moon. So this will be on Thursday, May 7th for most of us, but this video will be for the surrounding days. Now again, we are using the actual size of the constellations as seen in the visible sky. If you are new to the channel, definitely check out that link down below because the signs are different. For example, the full moon in mainstream astrology is said to be in Scorpio, but if you look up at the visible sky, you will see it in Libra, the scales. All right, so full moon, this is a great time to do a status check. How has the past 2 weeks gone in terms of developing our assertive side? This whole lunar cycle started in Aries, which has been about taking initiative with things, cultivating our personal needs and desires, and cultivating more of our independence as well. Aries is very much a self-oriented and direct and initiating quality of ourself. But opposite that is the scales, because we can't have healthy sense of self and independence and our needs if we aren't focused on what is right, what is fair, what is balanced. And this is what Libra the scales represents. Really good time of seeing both sides of the scales. In this case, in our personal life, if there is anything that's out of balance, too much emphasis on one side or the other, good to find that balance. Libra is very much about karma and doing the right thing, and in this case, what is fair and just in relationships. Could be a great time of doing a status check there. How are our agreements? Are they fair and just? Our relationships, and is there that sort of give and take? So good to see both sides there as well. And again, with Libra being about balance and other, Aries about self, always good to find that balance between others' needs and our own needs, right? What is fair and just in relationships, but also what is fair and just for ourselves. You know, balanced and healthy Libra is about integrity, and that's integrity for others and ourselves, and doing the right thing there in general. So great to do a status check with this. How is that Libra side of ourself at this moment? How can we further develop it for the remaining 2 weeks of this lunar cycle? And this can also mean that things have come ahead from the past 2 weeks. So great time to see if there is anything we can harvest or be grateful for that has culminated in regards to that initiating stuff. So with this full moon, we do have an opposition up to Mercury, which is quite common because Mercury is always very close to the sun, usually within 45 degrees or less. And in this case, balancing the fiery mind. We've had Mercury in Aries, which is maybe thinking more about ourselves or where we can cultivate our personal needs. So again, finding balance with the mind here. So great time of seeing how we can maybe communicate directly and assertively with Aries, but again, at the same time, do see what is fair and just. Now, we do have a trine up to Neptune, so there is some supportive energy with this full moon, and this can maybe bring in some peace. At least it can be easier to bring in some peace into our life. some spiritual wellness, maybe seeing that our ideals or things important to us on a soul level can be cultivated. And so very supportive energy with the more watery side of things, which can give us things like compassion in those relationships, a bit of acceptance and receptivity, and just again in our general lives, maybe a little bit more willing to go with the flow, listen to our intuition, and have a bit of maybe creative or imaginative energy very much supported with this. All right, so that's the full moon in a nutshell. Very straightforward, very simple, only those two aspects. And in this case, again, how can we cultivate this Libra energy of doing what is fair, both for ourselves and in our interpersonal lives? So it's always important to look at the dispositor of the location of the full moon, and in this case, it's Venus. Venus does rule Aries. So whatever Venus is doing in the chart, we can see where this Libra energy is coming through. And in this case, in Taurus, it's been a great time of being grounded in those relationships, steady, stable. It's about connecting to the more resourceful elements of life and of ourselves. And so really good to do this, really good to be grateful for what we do have on a material level at this time. Maybe bring in a bit of that stability or groundedness in our relationships. This can also be a very generous energy as well, because as we do connect to our own resources, then in its highest expression, we can be willing to share those resources with others. So great time of connecting to nature, enjoying a good meal, getting into our senses, and all in all being grateful for what we do have on the natural and material level. So that's the most important stuff here going on during the full moon. The exact time of the full moon will be at 07:42 Eastern time of the Americas on Thursday, if you do want to make that calculation for wherever you are in the world. But for all intents and purposes, it will be these surrounding days from Wednesday through Friday. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that Mars is shifting into Aquarius. So when it does come to that assertive side that we are balancing at this time, we could maybe notice a bit of a shift with this. Mars entering Aquarius can make us quite future-oriented, quite progressive, and maybe starting to get in touch with more of our eccentric self and expressing our eccentricities, and all in all, just inducing some change, right? Aquarius is very forward-thinking, very progressive, good to maybe start to take action in that more future-oriented, progressive, change-oriented, and eccentric way that can be quite motivating. All right, so that's the full moon in a nutshell. Most important thing, great time of doing this status check. How is the scales in our life? Our perspective of the scales. Are we walking down that centered approach with things? Are we seeing both sides of the coin, right? And this is about bringing things back into that balance. And this can be in our own personal lives and also in those interpersonal relationships through doing what is moral, what is right, what is fair, right? What is going to lead to the most balanced karma, so to speak. Great time of balancing karma just in general. And again, balancing that with our needs, because we can't have healthy interpersonal life and healthy balance in our life without a balanced focus on what's important for us as well. So Libra in its highest expression is very much about integrity for ourselves and others, still being direct and assertive, because Libra sometimes maybe just wants to strive towards harmony, but that's not always necessarily the right thing. You know, it's also about sometimes expressing what we need, expressing ourselves, taking initiative, being independent, right? Cultivating our independent life. So really good to balance that stuff out, especially with what we're thinking about on that level. And again, a bit of supportive water energy with Neptune trine could be good to cultivate our ideals or things important to us on a soul level. Maybe easy to be more receptive at this time, which is great. And then Venus in grounded Taurus, suggesting a great time to be enjoying the more resourceful and grounded elements of this interpersonal stuff and just generally in our lives at this time. All right, so everyone have a fantastic full moon. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that like button if you haven't yet. Now down below, there will be the different houses for each of the signs. So if you want to check down below for each of your sidereal signs to see exactly which area this full moon is taking place in. But again, just a great time to do a status check and further develop these things that have been developing from over the past 2 weeks. So again, have a great one. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all in the next daily forecast. Take care.